Hi there and welcome onto this video series on Native Instruments Bouquet, part of the Play series, brand new plugin. This one's designed with pop and kind of modern R&B production in mind, and it's got an amazing collection of kind of analog style synths, keys, organic instruments, and we've got this great hands-on control with the macros on the front page here. And as I said, this is part of the Play series, so you may have come across this with other plugins like Lo-Fi Glow, Hybrid Keys, and Glaze 1 and 2. Okay, so you can see we've got things organized into presets here. Let's have a little blast on some of them. It's the bass one, let's just octave down. So we've got some really nice kind of fat basses here. We've got some really nice keys. So really high quality. And so on and so forth. So you get the picture. We've got some sequenced patches as well. So kind of arpeggiated parts. So you can really hear the kind of quality on show here, as we've come to expect from Native Instruments. So this was produced alongside Snipe Young, who's a Grammy-winning producer and sound designer who's worked with Nicki Minaj, The Game, Dr. Dre, Beyonce, and others. And in this video series, we're going to be covering all the parameters of this plugin, starting off in this first video with the interface so we can understand a little bit about the architecture of this plugin right from the start. Okay, so the way that this plugin works, in keeping with the other plugins in the Play series, is that each sound is built upon layers, essentially. So layers A and B. You can see here we've got some different sounds that we can choose from for each one of our layers. Close that down like so. So same here as well. And as I said before, there's 6 macro controls. And these are all located on the main overview here. So this is the kind of main default page for the plugin. And that's because, a lot of people are just going to use this with presets essentially, and tweaking them using the macros. And that's what it's designed for, really. For some people who just want immediate, great sounds at their fingertips, you could just use the presets and then tweak them if something wasn't right. But if you're a little bit more of a tweaker, and you really want to kind of design your own sounds and, get something which is a little bit beyond just the out-of-the-box sounds, then you can do that as well. And you can do that by using the 5 additional views up in the top right here. So as we click on those tabs, you get a new page which appears. First one being sounds. This is where we can really go in and tweak the sound, much like we would any kind of synthesizer. You could kind of think of this as like a sampler. So, we're not designing the sounds using waveforms so much as playing back samples. And then we can do things like modulate the pitch, modulate the volume, the filter for a start, envelopes, things like that. The usual suspects you'd see on any synthesizer. Then coming across to the next page, we have effects. And this is where we can go in and create an effects chain for the sound. And then coming across the right here, we have sequencer. Now this allows us to create a sequence, a melodic sequence, essentially made up of 16 different steps. And we can also use this to modulate the macros should we wish as well. And then finally, the last page is the macros. And this is the macro editor. So we can assign macros here, set kind of minimum and maximum values, adjust the macro shape curve, things like that. So everything to do with the macros is located here. And then just moving across one to the right, we have the settings here, which allows us to set up some kind of play settings for the sound, things like mono, legato, etc. So we're going to go through all this in much more detail. Obviously, to close any of these down and return to our main overview, you just need to click on that cross there. So obviously, just to start with, you can have some fun just playing with the presets. Play with the macros at the same time. Let's try something different. Let's try synth. So a good way to start off with this instrument, just to understand what it's all about, have some fun, is just go through some of the presets and have a play with the macros and see how the sounds come to life. Okay, but that's it for this video. So we've had an overview of the plugin. So we now know that we have a main overview, which is its main page, and the sound is made of 2 different layers, A and B. We can look at this in more detail. And on the main overview page, we have macro controls that allow us to change up kind of fundamental characteristics of each one of the sounds. And then we have some further tabs here. First one being sound. So this is where we can go in and tweak. And I said you can think of this like a sampler. So we're playing back samples that have been created by Native Instruments, but we can tweak those, things like filtering and envelopes and LFOs. And then we have effects to build up an effects chain, a sequencer to create a melodic sequence of 16 steps, and then the ability to assign these macro controls, various different parameters, and settings for the instrument, things like mono, legato, and glide, and things like that. Okay, so now we've covered an overview of the plugin and how it works. In the first video, we're going to cover the main overview completely and have a look at the layers as well. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.